Semen retention is one of the most important practices a man can do to increase his energy levels, his testosterone, his motivation, his ambition, and his sense of purpose in life. But this is also one of the most difficult time periods historically for a man to attempt to practice semen retention. There's a lot of factors against you. But if you implement what I'm going to share with you, semen retention will not be something that you have to force yourself through. It will become a sustainable and relatively smooth lifestyle. I'm Jonathan White. I've helped thousands of men from around the world learn to master their sexual energy and create an epic life for themselves. Make sure you hit subscribe to stay notified when new content like this is dropped, and make sure you get my free ejaculation control ebook. There's a link in the video description below. Semen retention is extremely important for a man because when a man ejaculates frequently, it is very detrimental to your mind and your body. And I can get into a variety of reasons for this, but to keep it relatively simple, we have the ancient esoteric perspective, which is that of your semen being very concentrated life force, the most concentrated form of life force in your body. And just sending it all out frequently, recklessly, is going to dry you up. But there's some very scientifically sound physiological reasons why excessive ejaculation is harmful for a man. So when we look at hormones and neurotransmitters, there's some significant changes that occur as soon as you ejaculate. Prolactin, estrogen, and cortisol all increase. Now these hormones are very intimately tied together. When one of them's high, usually all of them are high. And then there's dopamine and testosterone. These tend to plummet after ejaculating. And this is why you feel lethargic after you ejaculate. This is why you feel shitty. Like, yeah, you feel really great at the point of orgasm, the point of ejaculation, but afterwards there's a steep drop off and you usually don't feel great after that because your dopamine's tanked, your testosterone's tanked. These are your feel-good motivation hormones, neurotransmitters. These are also very important to have in abundance in your system because they're anti-inflammatory. Well, specifically testosterone is an anti-inflammatory compound. It's actually a potent antioxidant within itself that helps to keep your body healthy, running smoothly. Whereas estrogen and cortisol are catabolic compounds. They cause your body to essentially eat itself up. They're very inflammatory. When your estrogen is higher than a normal range, which pretty much, it's safe to say the majority of people on the planet right now, their estrogen is far higher than it should be. This has extremely inflammatory effects on your body. And this also spikes up your cortisol, meaning that you feel more stressed, you feel more anxious, you experience social anxiety, insomnia, depression. You feel shitty, basically. And who wants that, all right? And this is the sticky point, is that adult material, adult content is easily accessed at any point in time. It's pretty easy to pick up your phone or go on a computer and be looking at whatever you can possibly imagine within seconds. And this becomes very addictive because when you're viewing that content, you get these sharp dopamine spikes. And every time you look at a new video, you look at a new body, another dopamine hit, and this fries your dopamine receptors. So they become less sensitive, meaning that you require more dopamine to feel what used to feel like a normal state for you. Now you need twice as high dopamine, which means you basically become reliant on unnatural levels of stimulation to your system just to feel normal. So you get hooked on porn, it becomes a downward slope, and when you're ejaculating every single day, you are living in a chronic state of high prolactin, high estrogen, high cortisol, low dopamine, and low testosterone. And this is only going to get worse and worse over time. So basically, you're going to be unable to accomplish anything productive in life. You're probably going to have a tough time being consistent with anything that you decide you want to do. You're probably going to find yourself floating around through life, addicted to devices, jerking off to porn, taking drugs, playing video games, scrolling through social media, eating junk food, and that's going to occupy your life. Meanwhile, your body is going to get overweight, you're going to feel shitty, you're going to feel sluggish and lazy, and essentially go nowhere with your life. To me, that's the definition of slavery. Whereas, if you can stop this excessive ejaculation, build up your dopamine, build up your testosterone, you are going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel stronger, feel healthier, more energized, you'll sleep better, you'll wake up in the morning actually feeling like motivated and driven, and you'll have a lot more energy to take into action, to do the things you actually want to do. You'll be able to actually get yourself on course to live the life that you want to have. Here's the thing, We have so many incredible resources available to us right now in the modern age. A lot of people complain and whine about the times we're living in, but the truth is that there's no excuse not to be doing whatever it is you want to do. Like whatever type of life you want to live, whatever you can envision yourself, you have the resources to do it. It's available. The problem is that most people are too lazy to do this. Well, they're too high in prolactin, estrogen, and cortisol to do this. They're happier to live in a state of learned helplessness. Say, oh, poor me, this is why I can't succeed, finding an excuse to stay where you're at and not do anything, all right? And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But you can't really complain when nothing in your life's changed, all right? So by taking action, and it's not easy to do this necessarily, but this is, to me, the path of highest fulfillment, is you start to ask yourself, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What do I want to create in my life? What kind of life do I want to live? Where do I want to live? Who do I want to be surrounded by? What kind of friendships, what kind of relationships do I want to have? How much money do I want to make? How do I spend my time? How do I give back to the community? Etc. You start to ask yourself these questions, and then you formulate a vision for yourself, okay? And then you start to take action upon it. And this is where semen retention comes in as an essential practice, because you need the motivation. You need the life force, the extra energy that practicing retention will give you, okay? I want to tell you guys a little story about how I get into all of this and how semen retention changed my life. When I was getting into this stuff, there was very little on the internet about semen retention. There was hardly anyone talking about it at all. There was nothing out there, all right? I was starting to practice Qigong, ancient Chinese energy cultivation practices, Qigong and Tai Chi and meditation. I'd been into yoga as well. And of course, I stumbled upon the work of Mantak Chia, who talked about recirculating your sexual energy and transmuting sexual energy, practicing semen retention, all these things. And it seemed like a great idea. Yeah, sure. Of course, I had to, find some actual teachers to learn how to actually do this stuff. But I started my Qigong practice. Every day, I would get up, I would put my body in this position and stand there for 20 minutes while creating specific energy circulations with my mind, bringing my mind and engaging in the body in certain ways. Basically the standing meditation, as well as these moving forms from, trying to move chi through my system. And within a week of doing this, I'm feeling pretty good. And as I started to learn the sexual practices, which involve circulating this sexual energy through your body, giving it an outlet other than out your penis, I started to feel really good. Then I learned the direct sexual practices of having non-ejaculatory sexual pleasure, and instead of ejaculating at the end, storing that energy within the body, meditating on it, transmuting it into a different form of energy. And I found myself feeling incredible after this. Initially, there was a bit of an adjustment period because, for me, jerking off to porn had become such a habit, part of my lifestyle, that I was still stuck in that in a little bit. But what I started to realize was that because I was doing this new practice, and I was also making a lot of other changes in my life, I was eating healthier, I got rid of my smartphone at the time. This was 2013. I got rid of it. I just had this old flip dial-up phone. That was actually a game changer for my attention span. So there was a lot of things I had changed. But what I found was that by doing these things, by cultivating my chi, I'm doing this Qigong practice, opening up my body, rebalancing my nervous system, and I'm learning to have sexual pleasure without ejaculating at the end. It completely changed my perspective of sex and sexual pleasure. And I started to prefer not ejaculating. And because of that, semen retention became a natural part of my lifestyle. I didn't get into it saying, okay, I can't touch my dick, can't experience sexual pleasure, can't think about sex. That wasn't it at all. I actually just had a different direction for that to go in. Instead of going on the computer, looking up big booty models and, busting a nut. I had a different outlet for that. And this is when my life really started to change. I started to see how many bad habits I had, how many bad mental habits I had, how unhealthy my mind was, the things I was choosing to focus on that were just, very unproductive, the ways that I was wasting my time. I stopped drinking alcohol, I stopped smoking weed, all these things that were just causing me to live in this daze, this numb, blurry lack of clarity. And I started to get really clear on where do I want to go with my life and what kinds of skills do I need to develop to do so. And fast forward, 12 years later, everything in my life I've created right now was originally just a part of my vision and my imagination back then. And once I had the momentum I needed from stopping the leak of my jing, my physical essence that I was doing by constantly ejaculating, once I built it back up and allowed that energy to fuel my mind, fuel my body, my whole reality changed. My whole life changed. I changed. People commented that I was a completely different person than who they had known. That's what happens when we get into this stuff. So I want to share with you a few practical tips on how you can make 2026 the year that you make semen retention a sustainable lifestyle for yourself, all right? The first tip I have for you, my friend, is have a purpose. First of all, have a purpose for practicing semen retention, but also have a purpose for yourself. If you're just floating through life, you don't know where you're going, you don't know who you are, you don't know who you want to be, you have no direction. And when you're wandering without a direction, what happens? You never get anywhere. Well, same thing with your semen retention practice. If you actually want this to be a sustainable practice rather than just like, oh, I saw this on a video, it sounds like a cool, trendy thing, I want to impress people by telling them I went 90 days without ejaculating, blah, blah, blah. You have to have a really good reason for doing this, okay? My reason for doing this is my health, discipline, the momentum and drive that I have from this, the mental health, physical power, the boost of testosterone, all these things, okay? There's a lot. So have a really clear reason for doing this. Otherwise, you're not gonna last. Simple. You're gonna go maybe a few days, maybe even a few weeks or a month, but then the time comes where you cave because you don't have a strong enough reason. And I wanna make it very clear right now that my perspective on semen retention is not that you can't ever ejaculate, and if you ever ejaculate, you've completely failed, you have to start over at the beginning. It's not it. It's just stop jerking off to porn, and do not ejaculate too frequently. I made a separate video on understanding the proper semen retention timeline to get the highest benefits. You can check that out. Second thing is to change your habits. Human beings get locked into routines and rituals. You probably do a similar thing at a similar time of the day, most days. And if you have an addiction to porn and masturbation, you're probably doing it at a similar time every day. Maybe it's first thing in the morning when you get up, you're scrolling through OnlyFans. Maybe it's, in the bathroom at work on lunch break. I don't know what the habit is. I can say that for me, my teenage years, my early 20s, it was often like in the evening, maybe about 6 or 7 p.m. It was kind of like end of the day, like, ooh, like let's get a nut off, all right? Because I don't think I can sleep unless I ejaculate. It was like part of my winding down ritual. Let's pull up something and jerk off to it. So you have to change your habits, okay? This goes beyond just your consumption of porn. For example, going back to these inflammatory transmitters in the body, prolactin, estrogen, cortisol, you can be practicing semen retention, but if your diet sucks, if you're eating a lot of seed oils, processed foods, you're still gonna have these issues. So clean up your diet. It's another habit, the things you eat. Clean up the things that your mind is eating, the diet of your mind, which is the information you're consuming, the thoughts that you're allowing to stay, in your head, like the things you're dwelling upon. So having some strong boundaries around social media and technology, like I don't spend time on social media. I create some content, but I don't spend time scrolling. I quit that shit a long time ago. It leads nowhere good. It's another addiction. So cut that shit out and replace these things with better habits. Start going to the gym, start exercising, practicing meditation, all these things. Super, super important, all right? Getting your overall health and balance together. If you're just trying to quit jerking off and you're not changing anything else, you're probably gonna struggle because everything's got to fall into place. You must give this core overhaul to your lifestyle. Again, envision the person that you truly want to be. How does that person spend their time? Are they spending hours a day scrolling and jerking off to OnlyFans? Probably not. So ask yourself, what kind of habits does this person I want to be have? Start to incorporate them in your day. Make that your new routine. If you're used to jerking off at 7 p.m. every night, well, maybe you should go to the gym instead, or go to a martial arts class, or do your qigong practice, whatever it is. You do something else that gives you a natural dopamine hit without the desensitization that happens from excessive porn. The third thing, which goes right in line with this, is productivity. Start being productive, okay? Basically what this means is you're creating more motion, more momentum in your life. Maybe this is learning new skills, such as learning how to play a musical instrument, learning to write poetry, learning to carve sculptures, whatever. Something that you're like physically creating something. Artistic outlets are, I think, something really important for all people. A lot of people don't have them, and they turn into addicts because of it. They don't have a way to express themselves and everything gets stifled within them. So an artistic outlet is extremely important. Also, like studying business, entrepreneurship. If you have a job or a career and it's something that you have zero passion about, you're not really interested in it, it's just a way to pay the bills, kind of drains your soul. And you're probably gonna find vices to fill that gap you have inside of you. It's just gonna create a bigger gap. So ask yourself, if you're not on the direction you wanna be, how can I get on that direction? What are some small steps I can take every day to get to that endpoint that I wanna reach? So keep yourself productive. Schedule your week out. If you're trying to incorporate your sexual kung fu practice, you're doing your qigong, your meditation, going to the gym, spending time in nature, quieting your mind, reading books, studying skills, whatever it is, you have to put these things on your calendar. You have to schedule them into your week so that, again, they become your new habits. So keep yourself productive. It's the lack of momentum, I think, that really crushes people. Like when you're drifting without direction, that you don't know how you're spending your day. You don't know, well, what am I supposed to be doing? Yeah, I'm just gonna get on porn. I'm gonna get on the Pornhub. So when you have your days scheduled with productive things, you know what you're supposed to be doing at this time. I should be doing that. I'm gonna go do it. It will really change you. You know, this is a habit of successful people. Fourth tip is to circulate your sexual energy. Here's the thing. It's this raw power, this raw force building up inside your body. If it just stays in your balls, just stays stuck in the lower body, it's gonna become stagnant and it's going to eventually become uncomfortable for you. Your nervous system feels overstimulated, you feel excessively horny, you feel irritated, you feel anxious, etc. These aren't really things we want because the energy has become stagnant. So sexual kung fu is all about keeping that sexual energy in motion. When the water stagnates, it starts to become contaminated. Same thing with your sexual energy. When it becomes stagnant and stuck, it becomes contaminated. So it's not just about holding it in your balls, it's about circulating it through your body. So having a sexual kung fu practice, again, it's about living the lifestyle rather than just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna learn about it and think about it, that's cool, but I'm not really doing it, you're not gonna get anywhere. So I have a video on testicle breathing practice, which is the main sexual kung fu practice for circulating your sexual energy. You do that every day, it's gonna keep your energy circulating, it's gonna transmute your sexual energy and give you a lot of momentum. So check out that video for a practice to directly circulate your sexual energy. And the final tip I have, it's kind of the best one in some ways, which is to learn how to experience non-ejaculatory orgasms. Oh yeah, baby, it's possible. For men, ejaculation, orgasm, two processes that can be separated. You can have orgasms without ejaculating. And to me, this is the most obvious path. This is the only thing that made this sustainable for me, because I can tell you right now, if I had to completely become celibate, I withdraw from sexual pleasure to practice semen retention, wouldn't have done it, because I love sex. I'm not gonna lie, I love sexual pleasure. Not in an addictive way, but and I really feel that it's an embodied, beautiful, even spiritual act. I think it's important to our health. And the important thing is that you can actually do it in a way that doesn't deplete you. This is what sexual kung fu is all about. And so by doing this, semen retention doesn't become about suppression or repression. You're not like, okay, I can't do this. I really want to, but I can't. It's like you have this big metal spring and you're trying to close it in the closet door and like, okay, I kind of pushed it in there. Yeah, I've really got this thing under control. That's how a lot of guys are on semen retention. And the moment you lose your grip on it, it flies out. And your sexual energy takes control of you. You go on a porn binge or you do other deviant sexual acts, who knows? It comes out in some way, right? So instead of that, in sexual kung fu, we very consciously engage with our sexuality in a healthy way, a way that does not deplete our energy, but builds it, nurtures it, nourishes it. So we exchange our energy with a partner, we have sex without ejaculating, at least the majority of the time. We don't have to suppress anything. We are rejuvenated by essentially the fountain of youth that healthy conscious sex is. In my experience, it keeps you young when you do it right. And that's what life's all about, my friend. So that's it. Have a purpose. Have a purpose for yourself, purpose for your semen retention practice. Change your habits so you have healthy habits instead of destructive habits. Be productive. Start doing things with your life. Circulate your sexual energy and learn to experience non-ejaculatory orgasms. You are on the path, my friend. So what I recommend that you do now is check out a video I made on non-ejaculatory orgasms so you understand how to do that, and that will help you put all this into practice. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and let me know in the comments if there's any specific aspects of semen retention you'd like me to address in future videos. Get the free ejaculation control ebook, the link in the video description. It contains links to videos that will teach you how to develop legendary ejaculation control. Best wishes to you, my friends, and good luck on your journey. Take care.